Kamala, you weren't the only one traumatized. I think the majority of the country that voted for you, including the 92% of black women, yeah, 92% of black women, okay, were very traumatized when we saw the results, all right? She literally compared it to grieving her mom's death. Welcome to the Pop Off with J Bill. You already know if it's trending, I'm talking about it, okay? On today's lineup, TikTok had everybody convinced that the rapture was coming. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Because who even thought of that? We're going to talk about that. Plus, Kamala Harris is opening it up about her election loss and calling it straight up traumatic. You think, Kamala? A lot of us was traumatized too, child. Just traumatized. And Diddy talking about being traumatized. Woo, child. Woof. Just woof. He's back in court trying to fight for his name and his legacy. Let's pop off. All right, let's get into topic one here. The rapture didn't happen. TikTok apparently had people waiting on the end of the world last week, according to Yahoo News. According to Yahoo News, creators were predicting that September 21st would mark the rapture. Some even posted their goodbye messages and gave up their jobs and sold their belongings. They sold their belongings. The world that we live in today. Take a look at this clip about that rapture that people were talking about.
There's a date.
There is a date. On the 23rd and the 24th of September
2025.
2025.
So what happens 2026 now?
So yeah, folks were straight up dead serious about this whole thing. But here we are. We're still living. But maybe they had a point in the way. Like, I think we kind of living in the rapture. Like, think about what's going on in the world right now. I think we are living in the rapture. I think it actually is happening. Just not the way that people thought it would happen. They thought God was going to come down and do a snap and take half of the people. No, it's happening in other ways, child. But yeah, we're still here. There's no trumpet, no angels, no Jesus floating down from the sky. It's just another week with the same mess, of course. But this is one of the things that is very dangerous about social media, right? Like anybody can post a prophecy, and if it's packaged right, people will believe it because we all need to believe in something. I mean, if you even go back to the start of Christianity, how it was taught, people needed to find a way because they felt lost about what was going on in the world as Christianity came across the entire world. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into religion because I'm not an expert, but I imagine that's what it could be like, right? And even one TikTok user said that I'm preparing because I don't want to be left behind. Child, people already were left behind when the second Bush was in office. But that's another topic. It's another topic. But you know what? Listen, I get it. I get it. Life feels unstable right now, but y'all have fun with TikTok, but don't let TikTok become your Bible because that's a little bit too much. And when you really think about it also in this whole thing of what's going on with the rapture, people wanting to be taken away, people wanting to move overseas to get away from everything. You got to find some light in this somehow because this is funny. Because for one, not only black people don't take nothing serious, millennials don't take nothing serious. Okay, when you think about who let us be parents, which I'm not one by the way, but millennials don't take anything serious because we've been through so much. Matter of fact, I think about it, I think we've been through multiple raptures, just multiple, with recessions and the cost of living going up, no higher wages, no real raises. Like it's disappointment after disappointment once we became adults in this whole thing. I think we've been living through a longer rapture than people talk about. So, in that, speaking of work, when you think about if the rapture was really coming here and things were going down, right? Imagine telling your boss, hey, I'm quitting because the rapture is trending. That's a wild thing to say. I would just tell you, go ahead and pack your stuff, go ahead and move out. Just go ahead and move out because don't nobody want to hear none of that. None of that. So take my advice, okay? And do not always listen to TikTok. TikTok got some good stuff, but that's not one of them, all right? So if you had, how can I put this? If this hadn't spread so far and it just kind of like came a little small thing that just came across your thing and you're deeply religious, would you have taken this seriously? Or on the other hand, you know, even though you may be very religious or very connected to spirituality, I can't even say the word, but you get what I'm saying, very spiritual, would you have just laughed it off? Personally, I just let it go over my head because I was just like, the rapture? The only rapture I know is Anita Baker. That's the only rapture I know. Or maybe the rapture started, you know, when Kamala Harris lost the election earlier this year. That's when the rapture started. It wasn't September 23rd and 24th. It was at the beginning of this year. And speaking of Kamala Harris, she is now promoting her new book, 107 Days, talking about her time during that election when she only had 107 days to attempt to make it to the White House. The election she ran was great. Obviously, it had a lot of flaws, and there's been a lot of things going on, you know, within the Democratic Party. But Kamala came together as fast as she could with what she had. And I don't know why anybody expected her to speak up right out, but she finally is talking as she promotes her new book. She was recently on The View, and she described the election loss for her as traumatic. Kamala, you weren't the only one traumatized. I think the majority of the country that voted for you, including the 92% of Black women. Yeah, 92% of Black women, okay, were very traumatized when we saw the results, all right? She literally compared it to grieving her mom's death. That is a very hard thing to compare to. Like, to your mom's death? That had to be a very hard time. I can see why she went into a cocoon and did not want to come out for months. I can't wait to read her book. I'm getting it for me and my mom. Okay. Yeah, so she was on The View recently. She talked about how the election loss affected her, and it was a sense of loss. She said, quote, "It was a sense of loss, and I grieved the loss, and it was as profound for me as losing my mother." Check out this clip.
But that night, I grieved in a way that I have not since my mother died. And the pain was, it was not at all about losing a race. I knew what it was going to mean for the country. I was going to say for the family. And that's how I felt, for the country.
Now, in this, a lot of times, you know, as you know, when politicians lose, they're expected to just be tough and smile it off and, you know, present or perform for the next person that takes over their office or is in office. And they're expected to keep it pushing. But, you know, Kamala, on her run right now, her promo run for her book, and even after she was not elected into office, she really showed us her human side. She really allowed us to see the fact that something like this that was so important to her and important to, you know, a lot of Americans, this election, and it was important for people on different sides. I just want to put that out there because people love to attack. She let herself grieve this situation, not just comparing it to the death of her mother, but she let herself grieve. She let herself sit in the moment and really wonder and ask herself, like, where did things go wrong? Why didn't this happen better? Or why didn't that happen better? Or why didn't people really want to take a chance and really listen to what she was saying when she decided to run for office, and everything that she was saying was truth? Have you seen it with your own eyes? A lot of things that she spoke about was truth. But she took the time, she disappeared from the spotlight. You know, people were wondering where she was at. Of course, she made statements about different big situations, big occurrences and events that have happened within the last 10 months of this year, or almost 10 months of this year. And when she was ready to really come out and talk, because people want to know. We nosy. That's just natural for us. People wanted to know, like, what happened? Why didn't you win? Or where you been at? Like, stuff is happening and you ain't out here trying to fight. No, Kamala said, I'm not fighting for nothing no more. I did my fight. Y'all made y'all decision. I'm going to take a break, and breathe and protect my peace and be with my family. And I respect that so much. Because imagine, you losing publicly on such a big stage as election night. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, millions of people are watching your failure. They're seeing, the votes, which way they go and all that. That is a grief and a very big situation that a lot of us will never experience. And don't compare yourself to being the president of SGA or being the president of the United States. It does not compare at all. There's two different experiences. I promise you that. So I really respect the fact that she decided to take a moment for herself and breathe in the situation and really take in the moment. She was the first Black woman vice president, sitting president in that office, and man, she ascended herself. I'm really interested to see what's in this book because they're talking about a lot of things, including her husband's affair with his first wife. Also talking about, there's some topics that have been in this. I'm just going down them. I'm not trying to be gossipy, but also speaking on, she talks about in the book, from my understanding, Tim Walz's debate against J.D. Vance and how she moaned during it. That doesn't sound very exciting. And it seems to me, with her putting out this book and finally deciding to speak, she's actually at peace with a lot of things that happened. But it seems like there was a lot of things that went wrong behind the scenes. Like I said, I'm ready to read this book. It's called 107 Days. And so the last question I have for you here, does this vulnerability make her more relatable, or will critics say she's weak? I'm going to answer it for you. Black folks and others that love Kamala are going to say it makes her more relatable, and they love her even more and respect her in every way. The other side, they're going to say she's weak. She's emotional. That's why she didn't win. So last thing here on this topic, when you've taken a big L, whether in love, career, or family, how did you bounce back? For me, rejection is not fun. I've cried my eyes out and hidden away just like Kamala. So that's why I can relate to that. When I've gotten dumped, try to make that man love me. That's a very sad thing. You don't want to do that to yourself. So I hid away. It was sad. And family just hurts. When you was not getting along with your family, that hurts so bad. Yeah, think about those things. I want your answer on this. Like, when you've taken a big L, whether with career, family, love, any of that stuff, how did you bounce back? As we go into my last topic here, child, this is a crazy situation. Diddy's court fight here. Third topic, Diddy court fight. As we know, he is going back to court to get ready to be sentenced, and it is a highly controversial thing. A lot of people want this man to be locked up under the jail. Okay. So he is back in court, and according to the New York Times, he's fighting to overturn parts of his conviction related to prostitution charges. His legal team is claiming that there's certain evidence that shouldn't have been allowed. I mean, it's been nonstop talking about this. Like, his lawyers are really fighting to get some things taken out so that he has a lighter sentence or it doesn't end up in jail at all. Also, too, I will never understand lawyers that can sit there and I know we all got to make money and everybody has to have a belief system of some sort. But when you see a video of a grown man beating on another woman in a public hotel, because people can walk in, everybody gets a room and stuff, and it's on camera, on security, and he tried to pay it off to get it hidden away. You gonna tell me that was consensual? Now, people were peeking out left and right. Not every story was real, but there's some realness in there. How can you sit there with yourself and think to yourself, like, this man is innocent? He doesn't belong in jail for a long time. No, that man was terrorizing people. He should be locked up for the stuff he did at Bad Boy. He messed up that whole legacy. Messed it all up because he's so powerful. Everybody is scared of this man. So when you think about it, like powerful men like him, when they get tied up in scandals like this, like sex, money, and power, it's a whole song. uh, it does test the entire legal system because you think about it, Sean Diddy Combs has a lot of money. Like he at one point was almost a billionaire, multiple businesses. Of course, he had Bad Boy, a lot of artists. Like he had a lot of power. That's why he was able to get away with a lot of things that he did for so long. You even think about just powerful men, period, right? Like Bill Cosby. And I'm using these examples because of the fact they were accused of sexual assault. And not all of the same charges that Diddy was charged with, but the sex part of it, with sexual assault, multiple women, raping multiple women, drugging them, Harvey Weinstein, the things that he did, but then, blackmailing young female actresses into having sex with him in order to get a part. These these men were very, very powerful, that they did so many things that they thought they were unstoppable. So then when they get charged and convicted and sentenced, it's very surprising because a lot of times money comes into play and money talks. It tests everything. It's either you take the money and shut up, or you make sure they go to trial and they never get out. And it's so hard because even when you think about the situation with Megan Thee Stallion, it's not sex or anything like that, but what Tory Lanez did to her, shooting at her to the point one of the bullets went in her foot and then denying it. He thought he was just going to be able to get away with it because he's Tory Lanez, which, by the way, I know there's fans of his out there, but he ain't all that great of an artist. Okay. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay. So in Diddy's case, his lawyers are even trying to use a First Amendment defense, like First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom, just being free. And I said this before. I don't think we have that many freedoms, that many freedoms at all. You cannot First Amendment yourself out of these trafficking charges. You carry women across state lines, or a woman, or men. I don't understand how I'm not even gonna go into that part. The stuff they was doing behind the scenes, I don't even want to get into that at all. But you can't use the First Amendment in this. You were sex trafficking people. And thinking about how he was on drugs, the pink cocaine, is that what they said he was on? Child, no. Lock him up, okay? So at this point, even if he wins parts of his case, I mean, does his reputation even recover from this? I feel like it kind of will at some point, but for the most part, it's already done. It was done before this whole case came about because of stuff with Bad Boy, him not paying his artists. And when you think back to how he tried to give the publishing to a lot of the artists, giving money away to an HBCU, trying to do all these good things, everything makes sense now. He was trying to sweeten up his reputation and make himself look like the good big guy before all this news with Cassie's lawsuit came out in 2023. Um, really think about this for a second. He was doing all of this stuff to make himself look good, knowing that this lawsuit was coming out. But I do wonder if he knew those charges were coming down, trying to sweeten the pot and make himself look like a good guy. So, yeah, I think a big part of his reputation, I think his career is done. I think he's definitely going to be right out the spotlight. And even if it comes down to he gets a shorter sentence and he gets out and people are just happy about it, that says more about those people than it does about him. Because I don't understand how you see a whole video and you can still blame the victims in this. So yeah. Here's my question for this topic. Do you think celebrities get lighter treatment in courts, or is Diddy about to learn he's not untouchable? I think he's gonna get something and he's gonna think he's still untouchable. That's my thought. But I want to see your answers below here. Comment below, okay? So as I get ready to close out here. So today we saw people bracing for the rapture, of course, that never came. Kamala grieving her loss of the election like it was a death. And Diddy fighting to rewrite his story. 3 different situations, but they all show what happens when expectations crash. Oh my God, the tie-in of this episode is so good. If you do not listen to this, you are crazy, because I am a mastermind. This is a really good thing. All expectations crash, okay? Whether it's prophecy, politics, or power. If you have too high of expectations or you put yourself at too high of a pedestal, you can come crashing down. Ain't that crazy? Oh my God. This is really good. This is really good. All right. So if you got thoughts on this, hit me up on the socials at JBell on air. And I do want to know, would you have believed the rapture hype? Do you feel Kamala's openness makes her stronger? And what's your take on the legal fight with Diddy? Do you think they just need to go ahead and throw him under the jail, or you believe that he needs to be a free man? If you believe he needs to be a free man, that's your thought. I can't tell you. I can't tell you nothing else. Okay. So of course, don't forget to subscribe, rate, share this podcast. Okay. The Pop Off with J Bell, and the Pop Offs are only getting bigger. All right. Until next time, I will see you later for the next episode of the Pop Off. Also, make sure you check out 60 Seconds with J Bell. That's on my TikTok and my IG. All of them are at J Bell on air. See ya.